Welcome back, everybody. My name is Josh. I run Monster Moth Studio with my wife Nicole. We're an online Pokemon card business, and today we are here to talk about the Japanese booster box card market. So, for all those of you who don't know, we have been trying to import and sell Japanese Pokemon booster boxes, and we've been having some mild success. Figured out how to get those imported, and we've been selling them at card shows and online, Facebook Marketplace, that kind of deal. So yeah, we're just getting started. We've kind of did our first show in December, and the website's been set up since then. So it's really only been like 4-ish months that we've been hardcore going after it. And we've learned a lot about what it takes to kind of run a booster box business. It's obviously pretty straight, even, or I guess classic economics of you find an item, you import it for X, and then you charge Y, and that's the difference there is your profit margin. So I like it in a way. It's a lot cleaner than the English market, which is very dictated by like market values. Japanese stuff is just super simple, where it's just, again, I import it for X, I charge Y, that delta is my margin, and that's it. Pretty straightforward. Don't really have to worry too much about the whole TCG market, all that kind of nonsense. Just not really how it works for Japanese cards. So one of the big advantages there's several advantages to getting Japanese cards. One of them is availability. So basically, I have unlimited access to booster boxes. It's simply a money problem, like a capital problem. So if I have capital, I can buy them and bring them in. Other big advantage is the card quality is just superior to English cards. It just is. It's because the Pokemon, the company prints their own cards. They don't farm it out to print facilities in the U.S. So they take care of their production quality in Japan. Third big perk to Japanese cards is pricing. So boxes are just more affordable, packs are more affordable, cards are more affordable, everything across the board is more affordable in Japanese Pokemon in contrast to English stuff. So 3 pretty big pros for us, and that's actually why we made the switch from English stuff to Japanese stuff pretty early on when we started like recollecting in September of 25. So that's all kind of changed recently over the last few weeks. Lots of PokeTubers have been making like videos about this, and I guess I'm just going to reiterate basically those same points of that prices have gone up anywhere between 10 to 25% over the last 3 weeks. Now, prices were already moving up. We saw several boxes like Team Rocket, Black and White. Those prices have been going up. Inferno X prices have been going up. And talking to suppliers, they've kind of said that it's basically about the hype. So it's, again, just classic economics of demand is really high, supply is semi-limited, and because it's not, infinite, there is a limit to how many boxes get made. So supply is really high, and because of that, it's just driving up the price, and that's how economics works. So, but this price hike is unusual in my 4 months of doing this, where I haven't seen, once prices kind of like, there's like a release price, and then it'll drop slowly as more supply hits the market, and then it'll kind of like level out at where like the price, you know what I mean? Within like a couple of months, the price will kind of like evens out. But with these newer sets, like Rocket's not that old, Black and White isn't that old. Older Japanese booster boxes, stuff that's out of print, just like in English, those prices go up because they're not in print anymore. So the booster boxes are harder to come by. So scarcity drives up pricing. Again, classic economics. But this new price is very steady and obvious pricing increase where, I bought Rocket when it was $90 and it's now like, I want to say like 160, something like that. And maybe even 180, maybe even higher. Inferno X was, I think it went down to like $90, and now it's up to like 180 or something like that. 151 in Japanese when I got it. I think I was getting it at 160 a box, and now it's over 300. So these are not like tiny little increases. These things have been happening. 151 is now out of print, But the other boxes, like, they haven't been. White Flare was $80 and now it's 150. Like, that's crazy. So those have been steadily increasing over the last several months. What we're seeing now is like in parabolic like cost on Japanese boxes. So literally I had to message my supplier and ask if this was a joke, that Mega Dream literally jumped 3,000 yen within like a week. And it wasn't. All the suppliers, all the price lists that I check, everybody jumped up, which is insanity. Like, it's and the price then just kind of kept going up. So I was selling Mega Dream at 130 a box when it first came out, and now the price like dropped down to like $90, which is, I love boxes under $100, and I would rather make, you know, $5 to $10 a box on stuff that's like under 100, as opposed to trying to make like, you know, whatever, 200% profit on a box. I want to make that $5-10 per box, and and at $90 a box I was basically doing that. Well, now it's going to be 120, 130 bucks. We're right back up on Mega Dream. We're right back up to, you know, initial release pricing, which is insane. Again, talking to suppliers, I got a story about how basically that they suspect there was some kind of big international buyout. So somebody internationally came in, bought up a bunch of stock like over a weekend, I guess. And because that's what you do with, you know, on a weekend, is you go up over to Japan and you make a sizable purchase of their booster box stock, and so much so that it drives all the prices up 10-25%. That's just what you do on a weekend. So apparently that's one story that I got fed. I'll try and toss a link, but PokeNE is a big importer of Japanese Chinese cards. He made a lot of business 101 videos. That's where we learned how to do all this, and how we got our start is all through him. And he made a video talking about that apparently organized crime is responsible for the recent price increases. Now, Brian's been doing this way longer than us, so I'll basically just default to him on his knowledge of the Japanese card market for sure. So, I mean, if that's true, like, I guess the Mafia and the Yakuza are driving up prices on Japanese boxes, which is crazy. Like, are we in a weird episode of like Pokemon meets Goodfellas? I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really matter in a way why the boxes are going up, but we just know that they are. And that is going to take away one of the three major components, or the three major pros of getting into Japanese cards, is pricing. And so now, will the Japanese singles go up to kind of match the fact that the box is going up? I mean, maybe. Stuff that I think prices have generally been going up on Japanese singles. We do carry a lot of them because, again, we just like the card quality in our PCs. We have a lot of Japanese stuff, and so I guess we'll see. I think that that's true, that generally the cards have been going up, but everything's going up. So it's hard to say if the price increases on boxes is what's driving the increase on Japanese singles, or is it just the fact that there's hype on all Pokemon stuff? I don't know. Definitely hard to say, because the two things are happening like simultaneously, so it's hard to know what the variable there is. What I do know is the prices have gone up. Regardless of why they're going up, it doesn't super matter. It does not seem like the prices will be going back down. It does seem like they may have now hit a plateau. At some point, you can't have your prices go up like astronomically. It's, again, the same, it's classic economics, where like your price can go up if your supply is low and your demand is high. But once you reach the precipice, or on your bell curve, there will be a point where your prices are too high, so your demand starts to drop. And so then you will have an overstock of supply. So if that happens, then we would see the price hopefully starting to come back down. But again, if this is an artificially driven price hike, I mean, who knows? That is my assumption, is that right now that the supply is getting bought up by who? I mean, who's to say? If it is organized crime or some other international buyer, I'm not sure. But again, doesn't really matter. The prices are going up. What does that mean for us long term? Is it's time to diversify, plain and simple. Is when we saw the initial price increase, our immediate reaction was to get smart and not double down. So there could be that temptation to double down on Japanese stuff exclusively, because for the most part that's what we've been pushing are the Japanese boxes. We like the guaranteed hit rates. Again, like we're fans. I'm sure you've picked up on that. But to make a good business decision is at some point, even us as suppliers or vendors, business owners, sellers, whatever we are, at some point you have to look at just your capital. And for us, it's not massive. And so we need to make sure our dollars are like very intentionally and smartly invested in what we're getting. And if I have to pay almost, that 25% increase means I have to raise prices across the board, which means that's going to turn off a lot of buyers. And just where we are in Iowa, we do sell Japanese boxes for sure, but mostly it's in person. Our website does get a little bit of traffic, but not enough yet. We're working on, developing that and building those, just building the socials and all that to drive traffic to the website. But right now everything's basically in person. It's the card shows is where we're selling these boxes for the most part, Facebook Marketplace, that kind of thing. So to raise prices up 10 to 25% is going to scare off a lot of our Midwest buyers, because generally Midwesterners are pretty conservative when it comes to just fiscally pretty conservative. And so to all of a sudden get this box that was at $70-$80, it may be $70-$90, and now all of a sudden like Mega Dreams is very, very popular. It's been a great seller for us. To now have to pay $120 for this box, like that's a 25% increase. And people just are probably going to start turning, unless they're just really into Mega Dream, people are going to start turning and looking for something else to get, because something that's just more affordable. People want to rip packs, they want the experience, but also they want to rip kind of as many packs as they can. And so getting stuff that's affordable where they can maximize, really stretch out that dollar is really pretty critical for, the Midwestern populace. So I just don't know if, again, people are going to jump on the 120 a box. So especially when it happens so suddenly. But so that's why, again, we're looking to diversify. Now we have several diversification opportunities. There's other TCGs, obviously right now we're 100% in on Pokemon, but that doesn't mean we can't import other TCGs. So that's an option for us. We know that the simplified Chinese boxes do really well. All the gem packs, we're huge fans of those. They're always super fun to open. Every time we import those, they always sell out. And so now and I think that they do because, again, the boxes are just affordable. So it just makes sense that you can get more packs, when a box of Gem 2 is whatever, $65. You can get you can get two of those basically for the cost of one Mega Dream. So unless you really love Mega Dream, or if you just want to rip a bunch of stuff, that's a good move. So as well as, we've been playing around with other Pokemon merch and stuff like that. And again, like I said, we have access to other TCGs. So this will be the question now of strategically placing our dollars where it was basically 75-80% in Japanese Pokemon. Now diversifying out and looking at, all right, this is now kind of getting a little too expensive for our audience potentially. So what move can we make now to keep product in, keep product flowing? So, and making sure that as soon as product gets in, it gets sold off immediately, since that's really the game of booster boxes. So yeah, that's the fun that we're currently having. And I think that, like I said, I think the prices have stabilized right as of now, but who knows? I mean, they spiked, 3 weeks ago. So could they spike again? Could they drop again? Maybe. We'll see. But that's the thing with running a small business, is that you have to remain semi-flexible and basically remaining rigid, or doubling down on something that's potentially not working or might hurt your business. Doesn't seem like a smart business move. So simply reading the market and pivoting to avoid getting bogged down or holding the bag seems pretty critical right now. So that being said, if you guys want to check out monstermothstudio.com, we will be offering more stuff. So anyway, check out our site. Thanks for watching the video. See you on the next one.